Hey, this is Chaz Cascus.
This is Paul Furia.
And this is Cascade Improv. And today we get to have a wonderful, lovely conversation with the one, the only improviser and director luminaire, Bonnie K. Whoa! Thank you so much for being here with us in the studio.
I'm so happy to be here. Oh, this is a delight.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
too.
I don't think we have crossed improv paths.
Which seems crazy because I do a lot of improv and you clearly do a lot of improv.
I've done a little bit of it now. Yeah. I've been doing improv for a little bit. What brought you to Seattle?
I wanted to buy a house.
Oh.
And I'm from San
that's
Francisco.
An incredible. Okay.
Yeah. Every time that's the exact response I get is, really? Here is where you chose. And I'm like, but where I come from
is
like
more.
10x more expensive.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was the pandemic. Mm-hmm. It was going to very clearly be work from home for, I thought, forever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gone now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was like, okay, Seattle, there's an office for my now ex-boyfriend, but his company had an office here, so that made it a place that we could technically be located.
Okay,
similar kind of weather to San Francisco and just less expensive.
Yeah. Which is still wild to think about.
Yeah.
Still wild to think about. Okay, great. And so you relocated from San Francisco. Is that where you started your theater journey?
Yes. But also, so I'm from the Bay Area originally. Okay. That's where both my parents are from. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, we moved to Switzerland. That's where I started doing a little bit of theater because we had to do it for like class.
Okay.
And I really, really liked that. And so my parents introduced me to the concept of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh.
And I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
And so when I moved back from Switzerland, we moved back to the Bay Area and I was in middle school now, and so there's theater programs, and then I went to high school and started doing more theater with the school itself and community theater.
Fun.
And then I moved to London.
Okay.
Was there for 5 years, did my bachelor's, my master's, did a little bit of improv, but the scene was not as hot there, I don't think.
Okay.
Moved back to San Francisco, and then found... Basically, I found a guy, and he was like, you can live in the bottom of my house. Also, do we want to be an improv group? And I was like, yeah, that sounds really good. And so it's like me, him, his wife, and like three other, kind of a rotating cast of three other people. And we started doing improv there. And then I started doing improv more seriously at one of the local theaters. And that's where I started doing long form narrative improv and musical improv. And I was like, this is the thing.
Yeah.
The long form narrative, that's what I really like. And then the musical stuff, when I get to play with musicians, the best.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you speak Italian, German, or French?
French.
Okay.
Yes. Good question. Oh, merci. Also in Switzerland, they speak Romanche. Romanche. Some people say Swiss. Not correct. Not correct in any way. But Romanche is a language only spoken in Switzerland by, I think it's less than 1% of the Swiss population.
Oh, wow.
So it's like 7 guys.
They should form an improv group.
They could, oh my gosh, they should form an improv group, those 7.
It'd be rough to find an
Romanche
audience
guys.
if no one else speaks the language, though.
Amazing.
Did you get your degree in theater?
No, my degree, my bachelor's is in illustration and visual media, and my master's is in graphic design communication.
Okay.
And that's my job now, is design and illustration.
Yeah. How have you incorporated design and I guess here I'll put the cart before the horse a little bit, which is I'm so fascinated with the use of surrounding arts in improv. Right? So things that aren't like, oh, I am an actor and I found improv, or I am a writer and I found improv, like things that are so close, but instead those sort of like those arts that don't necessarily have like Venn diagram overlap.
Yeah.
How does your learning or your understanding of those other artistic media fit into your understanding and sort of practice currently as an improviser?
This is fascinating because I thought you were going to ask it to me backwards. I thought you were going to ask the other way because that's typically what people ask, I think. It's like, well, how do you use improv in your day-to-day life? Like, But no, this is actually a more interesting question. How do I use design to make me a better improviser? I like that very much. So one of the things I think a lot of improvisers are very bad at, and I'm not saying actors, I mean improvisers specifically, is organization. There's a reason that we all make things up on the stage instead of going and performing scripted work, I think. And I think a lot of that has to do with this kind of lack of organization or planning. And as a designer and a business owner, I have to be in charge of things, otherwise the things don't happen and I can't buy cat food. So I am one of the, I think, best producers that you will get. I produce my own shows and I do all the producing work because my designer brain makes me very good at it. I can make the poster, I can make the assets for social, I organize all the calendar invites, which is something I'm doing for work most of the time anyway. I'm communicating with like the head of the theater as well as communicating with the cast, and I build microsites. So I use Notion, which is a tech tool that allows me to make little mini websites without having to pay any money. I just ship it, and it is an archive of information about the show that someone's going to do. So it'll tell them, here are some videos you might want to watch, or reference material to the topic, the rehearsal schedule, the comp policy, all this stuff that's very unsexy to communicate. I organize everything in a little site. And then when it's time to make a new show, I duplicate that site and just edit all the information and then pass it along to the new cast. And so doing all of that means when I'm at rehearsal, I don't have to worry about communicating all this kind of boring stuff that takes up a lot of time when you're talking to your cast and, the beginning of rehearsal. That's wasted time if that could be an email or better yet, a microsite. So it allows me to save time in rehearsal as a director and to make the information accessible at all times. So I think that makes me a better director, which allows me to do better improv when I'm doing it and snowball effect. So I think that's one of the things that being a designer has made me do better as an improviser, is more of the preparing to go improvise, almost more than the actual exact improv itself.
Sure.
It's amazing how much that that baseline fundamental, like if you don't have that right, it cascades into everything else being a disaster.
And the hardest thing I think about directing is not concept creation. It's not getting a good show at the end. It's dealing with all the people. And different people communicate in different ways and have different needs and all of that stuff. And that's the stuff that's actually way harder. So that's where I put more of my energy on the back end effectively, so that rehearsal can be a pleasant and fun experience.
As a people manager, I agree 100%.
Yeah. As someone who has worked in theater for as long as I have, the thing that makes a production sing is a production manager. And truly, it just sounds like you've just taken on that responsibility that's often really neglected, usually due to, like you said, organization, because most of us are ADHD, and that's why we found improv, or improv has found us. But also, usually, a lot of times it's also just like money and resources. We don't have the finances to be able to hire just an extra person on top of it. And so the fact that you're able to double dip in that, what an asset.
And I think there's also a lot of it comes from the tooling, right? There's all these tools that I use to make this process easier for myself and for my cast. And because I have a tech background and a small business background, I'm used to doing that. Most people who are directing improv or who are running a class or in any sort of leadership position don't necessarily have leadership experience. They might not have technology experience. The improv world doesn't technically need any technology. We could happily just go stand and do it in the sunlight in a park and it would still be improv and it would probably still be great. But technology makes things easier to make that part happen. And a lot of people just aren't practiced in it from the point of view of having to run it themselves. Every single part.
For improvisers around the area who are looking at stepping into creating their own indie team, directing a show, and are listening to this and going, oh yeah, what are like 3 things that you think that a director or someone who is working on this indie team should be mindful of as they're like taking that step into that leadership role?
Audience. I think a lot of improvisers create improv for other improvisers or for improvisers plus friends and family kind of a thing. And when I'm designing a show, a lot of the time I'm thinking about, how am I going to market this? How am I going to make this appealing to a wide audience? How can I relate this to pop culture, either contemporarily or from the past? Like, what's having a moment? What's on trend? How can I use that to encourage people to come to the theater and engage with this? And we play a lot of inside baseball in improv because it's fun and silly, and we like to do callbacks and all that stuff. But when you're designing a show and you want people to come and give you money, you have to make it really clear from the title what they're going to get so that you can pull those large audiences so you can fund the theater so you can keep doing it. So I would say audience is number one. Number two, calendar organization. If somebody is not used to managing a calendar, that is something they might want to start doing or figure out how you can do. I've been managing my Google Calendar since I was about 18, because that's when I first started working. And now it is the lifeblood of my business, but also my life. Like, I know where I'm going because my calendar tells me when that's happening, and it allows me to function in a way where I can plan things way farther ahead. And when it comes to getting lots of people organized, you need a source of truth. So the calendar is the best place to do that. And so if you're like, I can't build a microsite, that sounds really difficult, or I don't want to deal with all this stuff, that sounds like a lot. The one thing you really, really want is calendars, because then you can track, are people coming? Do they know when things are? You can make adjustments. So I think the calendar is really underrated. And for me, I was like, oh, everyone does this. And then I learned they do not. They do not do that.
Well, and how easy is it just to make a Google...
Oh, it's so easy.
A Gmail account that is just your show this year at gmail.com, and then have you a calendar.
Easier. You don't even have to make a new email. You can use your email. As long as you have Google, which most people I think use Gmail. Gmail has a contacts feature. The contacts feature allows you to make groups of contacts. So every show I have all the contacts for that show in a group in Google Google Contacts. So when I need to send an email to my whole cast, I just type in actually, and it goes, which Actually Love season do you watch? And I'm like, that one. And I know it's going to send it to everyone. I'm not going to miss anybody. And it is the same thing for invites. So I can type in the name of the show in the Google Calendar invite, and it automatically auto-populates and puts in all the people who need to be there. So stuff like that, where I'm like, I'm just automating something so that I don't have to do stupid, boring things. That way I can do fun, exciting things. You just have to put in a little bit of effort up front, and then you can be lazy later, which is way better.
This episode of Cascade Improv Podcast is not sponsored by Google.
Yet, Google.
But we will take your money.
We will take sponsorship money, though.
I've never worked for them. I've worked for so many places, but I've never worked for them.
Microsoft, Amazon, now Meta.
Oh, you're Meta now.
We'll see for how long.
I did Meta I survived 8 months.
Oh.
I really liked my team. I was on Reality Labs, and I was a contractor. So
I'm in Reality Labs right now.
this makes a lot of sense based on where you are and I mean Seattle, not this chair specifically. Right. They were very cool to work with. I really liked working with Reality Labs. I had a harder time once it got more meta level, then it was less fun for me. But Reality Labs was awesome.
Yeah. We were talking about skills for directing shows.
Yes.
Before I sidetracked
We
us.
said audience,
Calendars.
These are such sexy improv topics. Like, let me tell you about my Google Calendar.
Listen, I mean, I'll sorry, we'll veer for just another moment. The other day I was at Unexpected Productions. I was doing something during the day, hanging lights or I don't know, rebuilding the lighting board or something, and Jay Hitt and I he was like, hey, I'm grabbing lunch. You want to come with? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So we're, walking around Pike Place, and he was talking about how so many improvisers just want to do improv. They just want to do improv. And he goes, it's too hard if you're not willing to do the business of it.
Yeah.
He goes, that's what Tony and I are doing. And Kent is we're doing all the business side of the improv. And of course we want to make it look easy, and we want to kind of hide the difficulty of what it is to run such a big company with, this robust school and all these shows and events and such. We want to hide the difficulty of that because we just want people to show up, not feel bad for old Jay Hitt, not feel bad for Tony Beeman, and just be like, hey, we got to play here.
Yeah.
But so many people think that they could just open up their own little theater company and all of a sudden thrive because Jet City's doing a bang-up job of it, and Comedy Sports is doing a bang-up job of it, and Unexpected Productions is doing a bang-up job of it, and they're like, oh, it looks easy.
I could do that.
I could do that. Yeah, we're just playing pretend, right? Audiences just show up for that. It's like, yeah, they just show up for that, don't they?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, I think the effort for creating the space for play is actually quite high, and people don't realize it.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, these theaters, people running classes, people running shows, if they're doing a good job, they will make it feel easy.
Yeah.
My grandmother and I used to watch a lot of figure skating together whenever it was the Winter Olympics. It was like, gonna watch the ice skating. And she also loved ballet. And she told me, if they make it look, if you think it's easy based on what you're seeing, then they're doing a good job.
Right.
It should look effortless. And that could be said the same for improv. Or like, oh, that improv looks so easy. But also the same for creating the space and setting up rehearsal. And it's like, oh, if that rehearsal felt really fun and easy, and maybe the hardest part was like learning how to do the skill, great. Congratulations, you have a great director or a great theater owner.
Yeah.
That stuff is not easy unless somebody else is putting in a bunch of effort up front.
Yeah.
They were talking about the technology before, and one of the things I did at UP was redesign the sound system. And the nice thing now is it's really quiet. So you don't know it's there. But the complaint before was, this thing buzzes all the time. So,
do they miss it now? They're like,
no one remembers, right? But
of course they don't. Yeah,
because it's so pristine. But it's to that point of like
absence.
You put in all this effort, and the joy of it is it's invisible.
Yeah,
it's completely invisible, and it's just everything just feels magical.
This is the same as my job.
Yeah.
When I tell people I'm an icon designer, if they're a designer, they might get it. If they're not a designer, it takes them a second to be like, what would that be? And I'm like, it's like the play button on Netflix, the pause, the little home, the little magnifying glass. You know these guys. And then almost everyone's like, oh, someone makes those? Oh, yeah, they would have to. Like, they don't just come into existence. Of course, everything has to be made by a person. And I'm like, yeah, if you didn't think about it, I probably did a good job at my job, because the average person should not notice this stuff.
Yeah.
It should just work.
Yep. It's the ease of I sat down on my couch to I'm watching my movie, not where the fuck is this thing and what cable is plugged in and what's wrong with my account. And, like you want all of that to disappear in the background.
And why does every time we flush the toilet, is there a hum in the sound system? Which was the problem for a while.
That's wild.
Because we decided by our musician pit to wrap a bunch of audio cables with electrical cables around a water main. That was right.
Very sturdy.
Yeah, it was sturdy, and it was kind of like hidden. But yeah, it was just like tightly coiled around that. And anytime the toilet would flush in the bathrooms, you'd hear this little hum.
What a special treasure.
The magic of induction.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
I thought of a third thing.
Good.
Yes,
This was good because it helped me figure out what the third thing was.
Okay.
And I'm really trying to think of the least sexy things I can think of, because I think they're actually the most helpful. And that is present professionally to your audience. And by that I mean hosting, intermission spiel, the way people are dressed, the way people stand up on stage and get suggestions, the language they use when they get suggestions. I had an improvising coach who told me, you don't need to say, can I have a suggestion for then whatever the sentence you actually want to say is. You can just say, what's a city in Europe? Or what's a small object that could fit in your pocket? Not, can I get a suggestion for a small object that might fit? Like, that's not necessary. You're saying that because you're nervous before you get to the part where you're asking the actual question.
Yeah.
It's better, cleaner, takes less time if you just say, what's a small thing that fits in your pocket? The audience understands their suggestions because they're not idiots. And also probably your host just spent 30 seconds being like, all right, everybody, let's all say our name on 3. Okay, I can do this. Like, they understand. And I think so little attention a lot of the time is given to that sense of professionalism, but it really pulls the show together. especially whoever's hosting and the spiel that they give.
Yeah.
Comedy Sports or CSE Seattle is very big on this, like with the ref spiel for Comedy Sports specifically. But I think a lot of the time it's as important for these more narrative shows where you want to start really strong because that's the perception they have of you as improvisers, and then they meet your characters. You want them to like you as improvisers too. You want them to think you're professional and cool and not fumbling and incompetent, because it makes them feel anxious. And there are a lot of audience members who don't want to do improv because it makes them feel scared. And there are some people who don't even want to watch improv because they don't want the secondhand embarrassment. So
I
if you can
love
do
that.
really
I love
good-
that for people, is that like that experience of secondhand embarrassment is wild to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a monster. I don't experience anxiety.
Oh my
So-
God, how?
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said
Such a
it
chill
out loud.
person.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was born under a spotlight.
And so this idea that people experience secondhand embarrassment,
Yeah.
truly incredible.
Yeah.
Truly incredible to me.
I had a friend / colleague when I got my first long form narrative show. I auditioned at this theater in San Francisco, and I'd never done musical improv or long form narrative, really. Like, I'd done a little bit of long form, but I auditioned, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to have you join the cast. I get like the call that you want, and we get to the first rehearsal, and they go over some musical improv stuff, and then they're like, but you've all done musical improv before. And I was just sitting there, I was like, I have not, Molly. I have not.
Oh no.
She's like, oh, well, you fooled us. Good job. And then off they continued. And I was like,
Yeah.
great, perfect.
Yeah.
I am going to just keep riding this train.
Yeah.
So that was the show I was going to do. And I told my colleague, and she was like, I'd love to support you, but I literally cannot go. I can't watch it.
Yeah.
It makes me have so much secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what happens when you see bad improv.
Yeah.
Because then it does look bad, and it does give some people that secondhand embarrassment. I can see almost anything and not feel embarrassed. I don't really feel secondhand embarrassment, but I understand why it exists.
Yeah. It's interesting hearing you say to your host needs to be someone who like brings this like level of trust to the audience. Because as I hear that, I'm hearing also an old Johnstone note where he said, always undersell your show. Your host should undersell your show because you can't guarantee the rest of the show will be better. So like living in that. And then there was also an old Randy Dixon note that we would get where he would say, meet the audience where they're at. He goes, just be a step above. Just be a step above where your audience is at, because you don't want to come into a theater sports show and you're playing like you've got a 500 seat house audience,
Yes.
and you've got 12 people scattered
Yes.
in the audience on some mid-August or something, like you want to meet them where you're at and just be like a step more
Yeah.
kind of like more enthusiastic, but you don't want to blow them out of the water, but then also you don't want to like come into this like huge packed house and just be like, hey man,
Yeah.
welcome to our improv show.
I think it's kind of cringe to not match the audience.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you have 12 people, your hosting probably should feel a little more casual. If you are presenting to 1,000 people because you got a big gig or something, or you're doing like a festivals or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
you can be the big persona. But I totally agree. Like, we've all done a show where there's like one person in the audience, and you're like, cool, we have to acknowledge this. Otherwise, this is terrible. Pretending there's more than just like Jared, Sarah's boyfriend or whatever. These are fake names. Those are not real people. But like, you got to be like, hey, Jared, Sarah and all of us appreciate that you are here.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to ask you for a suggestion. So pick something you really want to see, because it's just you, bud. That's so much better than being like, hey, making eye contact with fake people in the distance. I'm realizing it's a podcast. They can't see me gesturing. But yeah, you absolutely have to adjust for who you are speaking to. Otherwise, it's so cringy and weird.
Yeah, it's this idea of we're not just listening to our scene partner, we're listening to our audience and treating them like a scene partner too. They're present, they're here, and we have to be listening to that energy as well as improvisers.
And without Jared, it would just be rehearsal.
It would just be rehearsal.
Yeah, thank God for Jared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is something a lot of theaters, especially in Seattle, tend to do that I do not like. So maybe this is my spicy take for this.
Ooh,
I think
paprika.
there's too much planning in terms of the actual improv that's getting done.
Singing my
I
song.
like that your face made that face. That's good.
Singing my song.
When I did the first season of Actually Love, we would go backstage and we would go over, like, what's everyone's character's name? That's great. Helpful. Makes us sure we're, like, that we agree and we remember. And we would go over, what do we think the audience wants to see more of? Do we have any questions or things that are confusing? And I feel like there was even one other thing. And then over time, I realized we would get back there at halftime and I would be so stressed trying to get all that stuff down and figure it out. And I was like, now we're just pre-planning shit. This is not helpful. So now what we do is just go in a circle. You say your characters' names and their deal, not a recap of everything that's happened, not what they, even necessarily what they want or their relationships, but they're just their deal. That's what I really want the improvisers to focus on is like, what's the game that this character is playing? Because the relationships and stuff should kind of be felt, whereas the game is more thinky. And so if I can be like, oh yeah, every time we talk about this guy's hands, we mention how big they are. He's the big hands guy. That's what we want to remember so that when we're making offers for him, we can use big hands or whatever it is.
Yeah. I'm talking about, if the glove fits.
Yeah.
You get it. You just
gonna
get
hand it to you.
Yes.
The quips. I see now where the quips fit in.
This podcast is known for really clever quips.
That's why we have at least twice as many listeners as Good Time, Good Vibes Improv. Sorry, Ben. That and the equipment.
There's so much planning. There's too much. There's the planning in the wrong place, I think. Like for me, the planning needs to be the outside rehearsal, like I was talking about before. And then when you get into the show, you just need to be vibing at that point.
Yeah.
Like you've prepared. It's improv. We should be making it up.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily, I think, in long form narrative formats, need to know what the beats are in the second act. I think it's better to just be like, it could start with a group scene, could start with two people, could start with a monologue, could end with a wedding, could end with a series of soliloquies. I don't even know. Because that's the whole point of this, is that we don't know. And when we get too planny or too much like this beat, then this beat, then this beat, I think that it loses the ability to draw an audience back in again.
Yeah.
Because they know what to expect. And the point of improv is that you don't know. And I think it's almost kind of like, even for the audience, it's risky, right? It's like, oh, they could do something really bad.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see if this sucks.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't suck, super satisfying.
Yeah. I was just teaching a workshop the other day on narrative structure and improv, and the biggest fear I have whenever I teach this workshop is that I'm teaching people structure. And I keep reminding them throughout the whole entire time, I'm not teaching you how to make a narrative in your improv. I am not teaching you structure. I'm not teaching you how to plan anything. Instead, I want to give language to the things that you're discovering. So when you see it, you know what it is, and you go, oh, right, okay, that's what that is.
Yes.
And you can now you know what pocket to put that in.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the things, sort of what you're saying is, I say, because if you treat this narrative structure like that is the way to tell a story, you're suddenly no longer listening to your scene partner, you're listening to a whiteboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? You're no longer listening to your partner on stage with you. You're not listening to the moment. You're listening to some structure.
Yeah.
And how toxic. Or I love Susan Messing. She says that format is the structure. Or no. She says format is the house where your bitches go to die.
We allowed to curse on this thing?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
This isn't children's radio. It's our podcast.
This isn't children's
Say whatever
radio.
the fuck you want.
Yeah.
I can see Legos from here. There could be children about.
I'm an adult fan of Lego, thank you.
I am also an adult fan of Lego.
I'm a Lego who's a fan of an adult.
I hope it's a minifig.
Yeah.
2x4 brick.
We're close. So close.
So close.
Tell me about how you got into directing.
When Rick Stedman, who now owns and runs CSE Portland, I hate to call him a traitor or a Judas, but
Sure.
he did leave us to go to Portland.
Yeah.
As happens.
Yeah. And I believe Christ also kissed him before he left.
Sounds right. I held my cat up to him and he licked his forehead.
Yeah.
Kind
Cat
of a
did
Lion King.
Jesus?
I'm not sure why I felt that way, but I was like, it's a baby and it's precious.
Sure. Puts the crucifixion in a really dark light all of a sudden.
It really does.
Yeah. It's a tiny cross.
So Rick Stedman is running CSC Seattle. I was cast by him. And then the year that I was cast, he was like, hey, pitches for shows. You can do those. I was like, oh, I like pretending that people are in love with me because it's really nice. It feels great. And so I pitched 3 different shows, I think. I pitched one that I can't remember now what it was. One which the placeholder title was Dentist When. So a Doctor Who
Yeah.
parody.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I see.
That's why the title is placeholder, because if you don't get it immediately,
Right.
not good enough.
Yeah.
Especially because like you're an improviser
Sure.
and I can tell, and also a nerd. So if you're not getting it, then the regular audience is not going to get it. But so there's a Doctor Who like short form, long form combined thing I was pitching, and then Actually Love, which was like, oh, what if
Yeah.
we just like played off of this really popular movie that everybody likes, and we did it at Valentine's Day. Could be really cute. Maybe it's a musical.
Yeah.
And then we started talking more about it. And he was like, so a musical. And I was like, not a musical now. It can't be. We don't have the time. It's February. I realized we're not gonna be able to do this, but we can do it as a just words, spoken word, no music. So he gave me that opportunity, and I created my cast, and our first show would have made the fire marshal not super happy, but we certainly had exactly the correct number of people in the theater, and not one or
person
2
more.
or 12 more than we were supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was really just this opportunity of like, hey, come pitch your ideas, write them down, put them in a Google form.
Yeah.
I had worked on format development in the past with my indie team back in San Francisco. One of the shows that the format was my friend David Steller's, but the name I came up with, which was Remote Control Freak, where one player has a remote control and they control everything that's happening on stage with the use of this remote control. I was like, wouldn't that be a great name? And it was a great name. So we'd been working on that, and we developed a kind of Coen Brothers-esque format. Fiasco is a board game, RPG. It was kind of Fiasco-y, quote, Coen Brothers-y. So those were kind
a fun story generation D6 pool system.
Yes, it's a fun game, and it was a great inspiration. David was really good about creating formats, and I got to help them develop, but I was never the originator of the idea. So luckily kind of had that experience of watching someone else do it, and then when I had an opportunity, I was able to take that opportunity. And then he asked me, can you do it again in November, because something fell out. And so I ended up doing it twice in 1 year. We did it February and November. And so at that point I was like, oh, I'm good at this, I guess. So now I'm going to do it more times. And then for the auditions for Actually Love season 3, which we had in November or whatever it was this past year, we had 60 people audition, which you know this because you were there.
I was there.
That was crazy. That was way more than I've ever seen before. So that tells me I must be doing something at least moderately right.
It was a great audition.
Thank you.
I think, and I don't mean just that like there were fun things to watch up on stage, but the way it was run felt very welcoming, very casual.
Great.
You had very clear offers, like here's what I'm looking for, here's what matters. You're very transparent with like, yes, there's a ton of you people here, but I'm looking for a cast this big, so you set your expectations. All of that was so nice, and like, great. I don't need to like get my hopes up that like we are gonna cast everyone but one of you. And then it's like, I hope it's not me. But
I like a good 59 person cast. When I'm doing a long form, I want to make sure there's 59 people on stage. I don't want to do too much work.
That's the plan.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Say 2 lines and get off the stage.
Just do one Canadian cross.
That's it.
One really good Canadian cross. You can win the whole game.
But no, it was a great audition and a great show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think casting is probably one of the hardest parts of directing or show running, because you have to disappoint 90% of the people that are involved throughout the whole process. And you only have so many shows. So like I'm usually working with 4 or 5 performances. And so if I cast, let's say, one person over, then every person's going to have one show they sit out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe 0, but mostly 1. If I cast 2 people over, then a bunch of people have to sit out 1 show, and some people have to sit out 2 shows.
Right.
And that feels bad.
Yeah.
And like, how do you make those decisions? And
Yeah.
so when you're casting, you're thinking about, I want to bring on as many great people as possible, but also the people you bring on, you want to give them the opportunity, because doing like 8 rehearsals and then doing, like, if you did 3 shows, that's a lot of work for not a lot of performances.
Yeah.
And so I want it to be worthwhile for those people. And I think that rehearsal is obviously like fun and should feel worthwhile, because that's what we do it for, is the love of doing improv. But they also want to perform, like they want to get on stage. And I think especially in an audition context, a lot of people, it's like maybe their first time, if they get it, that would be their first time doing a big show like that. So yeah, the casting is tough. And then some people make it easier than others when you have to tell them no, and that is also difficult and frustrating.
Yeah, I guess as a manager, I've dealt with similar situations. You were in Actually Love, and I haven't seen, since I'm mostly involved with Unexpected Productions, I have not seen a lot of directors of shows perform in shows. Tell me about your philosophy with, yes, I'm directing the show, but I'm also going to be on stage.
Oh, my philosophy sounds real shady.
Or just like...
It's going to be, I'm going to say it anyway. It's, I don't get paid enough to do this. I'm going to be on the stage so I can have fun.
Yeah, okay.
Like, this is not my full-time job. I'm lucky that Erica was able to pay me as the director for the last run of Actually Love, and she was also able to pay the cast, which is great. But like, it's a small amount of money.
Yeah.
I like directing, but I love doing improv. What I'm here to do is to do some improv.
Yeah.
And so it's inherently selfish, but like, I'm designing these formats so I can play in them and have fun. And I also feel I have the experience that I can do that without the show dipping in quality.
Right.
I just sometimes have had to make essentially accommodations for myself. For the first 2 seasons of Actually Love, I didn't play auxiliary characters.
Okay.
Because I know that one of my best improv skills is maintaining a narrative and connecting things in a satisfying way, because I see patterns in a way most people don't. And because of that, me playing one kind of protagonist-y character, or at least like a relatively straight man character, would make it easier for me to help maintain that narrative thread. And then in the last season we did, I was like, okay, I now know enough what I'm doing. I can also play auxiliary characters and do other weird shit. And
I guess
makes it more worth it.
To dive into that a little more, and stop needling you on this, how do you balance out paying attention to your cast and directing and giving the right direction cues with, I'm also part of these performers as a rehearsal? Or I'm also part of I'm part of this rehearsal as a performer. That's the right order of words.
If there's ever like, let's say it's a 7-person cast with 6 people per show, I am almost always going to be the 7th person. Like, I'll be the person who's sitting in the audience and watching, or I'll be running tech if the tech person isn't in that rehearsal. I'm almost always the person who sits out so everyone else can practice more. And then when we do more like exercises, like a good one that we did for Actually Love was, you have one person standing, and then in a row, everyone else goes up and just tells them 3 things that they find attractive about that person, not like real person, but like in character.
The character.
And so it's like, well, they're great. I can participate in that just as much as anyone else. I'm watching while they're all doing it, and then I go and do it. I can participate in warm-ups as much as anyone else. The only thing that I can't participate in to an equal amount is a full run, effectively. And that's also why I don't like overcasting. I would rather have to disappoint another person than have too large of a cast. So that's part of it, is just like planning the rehearsal so that I can participate where it isn't a detriment to anyone else and I'm not missing out. And then sometimes, I just have to go in and get the reps in, and somebody else might have to sit out. Or I've done rehearsals where you might play with one person extra, even if it breaks the format a tiny bit, because my format is not overly scripted. You could play it with 5 or 6 or 7, doesn't actually matter, because there's no strict formatting that's required of it. It's just doing good improv. And the format is mostly like, how do we set this up and how do we market this? Versus like beat 1, beat 2, then the thing before the intermission, then the thing after the intermission, then the very last scene, and then the big hurrah at the end. So I just kept talking forever.
No, that was great. There's a lot of students. There's a lot of people in small indie troupes who've come up to me and said like, "Oh, I love the podcast. I'm listening to it." And I'm always thinking like, what are what are these people hungry for? What knowledge, what information? And mostly they just want to know like how to get better.
Yeah.
And part of getting better at running your own troupe or setting up your own little ensemble is, all right, how do the pros do it? How do the people who are putting on shows that have good draws that are being played year after year after year because they're successful, like what are they thinking about? So yeah, that's the onus of the question.
One of the things that I think if someone is newer to improv, and that could be like, you've been doing it for 5 years, because I've been doing improv since I was like a teenager. I think you've been doing it since maybe you were in utero or something.
Yeah.
5 is new, huh? All right.
Yeah.
But like,
I'm 19. I've been doing it for 20 years.
like to me, I'm like 5 years, you're still pretty new to this, because there are a lot of people who've been doing it like 10, 15, 20 years.
Sure.
That's a long time.
Truly.
So for the folks who are newer to it, what I think the thing you can work on the most, that is the hardest, but also potentially the most helpful, is avoiding the imposter syndrome. I know it's really hard, and there's a lot of like workshops and talks and all the stuff about how to deal with your imposter syndrome or similar such topics. And my advice is you have to just stop. You just stop it. This is your brain. You are controlling your brain. That because it's you. And when you are putting your imposter syndrome on the outside, you are putting it on others.
Yeah.
When you feel like you don't deserve to be in the room with people who are more experienced, people who are better improvisers, people who are funnier, people who are hotter, whatever it is that is making you feel that insecurity, you're putting it on everybody else. And othering yourself, and then everyone else has to be like, no, you're doing such a good job. You're doing a good job. No, don't worry about it. It's like, no, you wouldn't be cast if you didn't deserve to be here. Ergo, you deserve to be here as much as everyone else.
Yeah.
The more you let your insecurity control your feelings, the more you put it externally, and then the more unpleasant it is for everyone around you. And then you do less good improv, because then we're taking care of your feelings in a way that isn't really necessary versus playing and having fun.
Yeah.
It's easy to say and hard for many people to do, but that is I don't think you can try and wrangle. I think you just have to stop it. Just completely cold turkey, get rid of that shit and be like, nope, I'm good enough because I'm here. I'm in the room. And also it's improv. We're a bunch of goofballs. We're all idiots doing something stupid. Let's just accept that and not pretend that, we're not George Clooney.
Right.
Yeah, I think that as an improv teacher, that's one of the things that I come to so often is when I'm in the classroom, like, yeah, okay, I've been doing it for a little while, and I read a lot of books, and I like to go to workshops, and I like to listen to people, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, and like, I'm a sponge for all of this information. And at the end of the day, we're just making dick jokes.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Stupid,
and so like
stupid things. Being goofy, stupid idiots.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah. No matter how like deep and eloquent that we want to talk about our art form, we're still just clowning.
Yeah.
And we can't lose sight of that idea and that experience of like, oh yeah, the most important thing that I can do on stage is just like show my authentic self. And something there was a framework that I was working with it was a long while ago now, but this idea that all of the things that you bring on stage that you feel like are your successes or your strengths, the attributes, the boons that you have, those are the things that make you a great performer. And the things that are setbacks and failures and disappointments, those are the things that make you a good improviser. And just like really coming on stage with like that entirety of yourself and being like, no, audience, I'm going to allow you to bear witness to me in my entirety. And like, that's how we take this art form from like, yeah, we're just playing the make-believe to all of a sudden something really healing for people. And it's not that, and once again, it's not that we're looking at this as some sort of like highfalutin sort of like act that we do. I'm not doing anything except for just being willing to look like a dumbass on stage. And that gets to be so healing because some people, that secondhand embarrassment that people have when they see you in the tradition of clowns for centuries before us, trip and fall and then turn to an audience and go, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Suddenly, like
The permission.
that permission is so healing
Yeah.
for so many people. And suddenly they're going, maybe I want to take an improv class. Right? And like that's the stuff.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
The healing is so true. If I think about like why Actually Love for me has been like the show for me that helped me start doing this for realsies and has lasted multiple years, is because at the core, my greatest fear is that I am unlovable, which I know to be untrue. I have a wonderful partner and lots of friends, and there's no reason for me to feel this way. But this is the core of where my fear comes from. So I made an improv format where everyone has to be in love with everyone, and that's kind of how it works. And it's very healing to be like, I can be a weird little window washer named Tony who is in love with horses and wants to talk to them and is a really weird guy, and someone's in love with Tony.
Yeah.
And people are in love with high-strung realtor character, and people can fall in love with anybody. Even these weird characters that we build.
I've done it, yeah.
Right?
I've fallen in love with a lot of weird characters.
I love
Yeah.
I fall in love with myself sometimes on stage. I'm like, that character was really good. I want to play it again, but I can't because improv. But yeah, being able to experience that kind of love, even though it's make-believe,
Yeah.
feels real because I'm allowing myself to believe it, because I get into the character so much that everything I'm experiencing on stage feels real. And then it does feel healing. You're like, oh, I am lovable. Look at all of these people, fake people who are made up by my friends. They love me. This is great.
Yeah.
But that conveys to the audience, right? The authenticity
Yeah.
makes it real for everyone there, which is also part of the magic.
And that's, I think, the thing that's really hard about the formats I design is I really care about emotional honesty, and I do not care very much about playing a likable character that follows the moral standards of our specific place on the earth, community. It's like, no, you can play whoever you want to play, as long as their emotions and feelings are real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to be telling a morality tale. We are just telling the tale of people with feelings. And you should be feeling big about everybody that you talk to, and you should know how you're feeling about, like, what is that feeling that you feel towards these other characters. And I think because there's so much structure now, you kind of lose sometimes that feeling, or you're playing things for laughs. And I think a lot of improvisers are just not comfortable with sitting there in the big feelings, sometimes very uncomfortable big feelings, sometimes negative, but sometimes positive. Like just having 15 comments said to you about why you are great and you're not allowed to respond, like that's hard for people.
Yeah.
And even when I was doing Hex in the City, or when we do Yes Andor, I'm not going to not have feelings. We're not going to not have love just because it's a fantasy or a sci-fi or a Western. I'm still going to make people do that. And that's the thing that's really hard to pull out of people, is like, nope, how do you feel? How do you feel about it? Not what are you doing? How are you feeling? And it can be really difficult to get that out of them. But once you do, it's so satisfying. It looks amazing and it makes the audience like want to be on the edge of their seat and remember it years later and say, hey, I saw you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said multiple times in this podcast that one of the first shows I saw was Four of Hearts at Unexpected Productions, which is a 4-person improvised like tragio romance where it's like two couples at a dinner party, and you know there's strife, and and I cried.
I would love to watch
it
that.
It was so authentic. Like the fights they had were like, I've had that fight. And just the people confessing their love, unrequited love for each other was like, I felt that. Like it's genuine, it's real.
Yeah.
You mentioned Yes Andor, which is something that you have coming up. Tell me about that.
Yes.
Because I want to audition.
Yes Andor came about when I was talking to my good friend and collaborator, Jeffrey Kranz. We were at Red Star getting tacos.
Jeffrey's so wonderful.
Jeffrey is as close to a perfect person as you can get. A perfect friend.
We're supposed to get lunch tomorrow.
Of course you are. That's delightful. Gosh, he's wonderful. Yeah. So he and I were having tacos at Red Star. I think that my boyfriend was also with us, who's not an improviser. But he likes to say every time, I was there when this was conceived. I'm like, I love that you think the lore of my life is worth telling people you were there for it. Like, you're so in love with me. This is amazing. So I was telling Jeffrey and Mike, the thing that I think I do really well is genre. Like genre, because I love TV, I love movies. So I want to do a genre that I haven't done before. Hex in the City is romance fantasy and drama. Actually Love is essentially drama, but it's also romance and comedy. So I was like, well, I like sci-fi a lot. I love sci-fi. But sci-fi is hard to improvise because there are too many kinds.
Yeah.
And so if somebody comes in and is like, the aliens, blah, 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 and it's like, well, the robots, nope, too many things.
Yeah.
You can't have all that shit. It doesn't need to be like the level of Star Wars where so many things are going on. I think one of the issues with the universe of Star Wars now is it's too complex. The first, like episode 4, first movie, it's fairly simple. There's not a ton of aliens and things. It's mostly like still a human story. But like the universe of Battlestar Galactica versus Star Trek versus Firefly, these are very different. And so when you're improvising it, people don't always know which sci-fi universe they're in. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to need to pick a subgenre so that we can do this and it doesn't look like trash. And I was like, well, I love Firefly and I would love to do improvised Firefly. And I've watched most of The Mandalorian, and at some point I will watch Andor, probably before the audition.
It's stellar, and no pun intended. It's so amazing. You have to watch it.
I've heard it's extremely good, hence
it's incredible.
It's in the name. But yeah, I wanted something where it was kind of an agreed upon universe, but that was expansive enough to play in. And so then Jeffrey just goes, yeah, and you could call it Yes Andor. And at the time, I didn't realize he was joking because I heard that and was like, you're a genius. Tick, name sorted.
Got it, baby.
And so then I submitted it to Erica for the season and I told Jeffrey, we got it because he's going to assistant direct this time. And he was like, what did you call it? I was like, Yes Andor, because that's the name. He's like, no, that was a joke name. That's terrible. I was like, no, it's amazing because every person I've said it to gets it immediately.
Yeah.
Even non-improvisers, because the phrase yes and is the biggest improv phrase there is. Like people know what that means.
Yep.
Andor is a huge show. So even though we're not only in the Star Wars universe, these two words together communicate everything that you need to know about what the show is. It's a space Western improvised. So the idea is going to be you have a crew. You always start with the crew on the bridge. You learn a little bit about all the different characters, what kind of ship this is, what cargo do they have, if any, what are these people doing, like why are they a crew? We have some ideas for how we're going to establish that. My fear with something like this is, again, over formatting. I don't want it to be we're always smugglers or we're always Han Solo-y kind of characters. We're always the Malcolm Reynolds characters because those are great in Firefly and in Star Wars, but it wouldn't create very different shows from show to show. So the idea is going to be we're going to ask the audience for a collective noun, meaning a plural noun. What's a thing there could be a big group of? So they might say elephants. And we're like, great. That's the cargo. But we don't tell them, what is our cargo? We just ask for a noun. So that then if they say elephants, then the cast goes, why would we be carrying elephants? They start to parse that while we're getting the rest of the suggestions. And it's like, elephants.
Got to get into the space circus.
Yeah, like, are we a bunch of freaking, like, acrobats? Or is this a space circus? Or is it that we're, like, hiding from poachers and rescuing them from space poachers? Like, why would you have elephants? And there's a lot you can do with that. So that's the idea that we'll be testing in rehearsal for getting a big question or answering a big question without the audience trying to be clever, because that's a big risk with improv. And then the other question we'll be asking them, the current plan is, what's a vehicle? So if somebody says tricycle or Jeep or Zeppelin or Boeing, that is going to be the inspiration for what kind of ship we're on. So if somebody says tricycle, we're probably a little podunk ship just making it through. And if someone says Jeep, we're probably a very rugged and practical ship. And so we're going to try and use those vehicle inspirations to figure out what kind of a location is this, because we're always a spaceship. There's always going to be a spaceship. So that's going to be the idea for how we create novelty in each of these episodes effectively, because otherwise it would just be a bunch of heart of gold smugglers doing crimes, but because they're good people, they're not really actually doing that much of crimes, and then there's some drama and then it's over. Like that would not be great. I want to see what happens when the space circus meets literally anything. Like that's what I want to see, and I need a format to do that.
How much do your shows change throughout the rehearsal process?
Medium. I've told my cast, you're welcome to suggest anything, but know that I might say, thank you for your suggestion. I'll think about it. I might say, thank you for the suggestion. I'm not going to implement that, and here's why. I might say, yeah, we're going to do that. Or I might say, I can't implement that. I don't have time to explain why.
Yeah.
You'll just have to trust me.
Sure. Yeah.
And luckily, most people seem receptive to that. But a lot of the time when things change in rehearsal, it's because a cast member comes up with a good idea. It was Phil Guerin who was like, we have to stop writing all this stuff on the board. You get so stressed, and then you make everyone stressed. And I was like, this is the best feedback I've gotten as an improviser. Like, I'm too stressed is something I control. It doesn't mean I'm bad at improv. It's just the energy I'm putting out. I can change this, and I did, and now it's way better. So feedback, very important for me, for the show, for the format. And I anticipate a lot of it will probably stay the same, but we might realize we can't always start on the bridge. It might just not work.
Yeah.
And we might have to change that. When I was doing Hex in the City, I was trying to figure out, especially because I was playing Carrie, who's the main character from Sex and the City, which was not my original plan, but that's how it worked out. I was like, I need to be careful that I don't make this all about me. And originally, because someone not me was going to play Carrie, was the idea, I was going to have them do more monologues because that's more true to the show. But then I was like, nope, not if I'm doing it, and I'm not going to host. I'm going to have Jeffrey host specifically to make me look less important. I'm going to do one monologue at the very beginning that's like 3 lines just to set the tone. And then we'll just go into it. And that came out of wanting to create a sense of equality and also to move the format away from the original show in terms of Carrie's the main character and everyone else is Carrie's friend to we are 4 friends. Because improv doesn't need to completely reflect the original medium. I think it's better the less that it does.
Yeah, that was something. So I've listened to your episode a few times now on Improv Good Vibes.
You sweet angel.
And that was a question that kept coming to me is because I've got something of like, it's not a 2-part question, but I have 2 questions that stem from this. And I will stagger them, I promise. But as I was listening, one of the things that comes up for me as an improviser is I am just such a slut for spontaneity. I am a free fall. I'm a free fall girly. And so I love really, really loose, open, and kind of like more poetic long form pieces. Things that are sort of maybe a la Montage are sort of like the Seattle Herald. I think the Armando gets a little bit too structured for me.
Open scenes is too structured for you. I love it.
I like things that
the stories that do you in.
It's like I had to wait through that whole story. Now I have to use parts of it instead of just doing some beautiful God-given genius.
No, not necessarily. I just think it's this idea that we always have to go back to the monologist, and then we do some scenes, and then we go back to the monologist, and then we do some scenes, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, we get it, And I like things that are just like, I want to try and feel anxiety, and so the looser the structure and the format.
An adrenaline junkie?
Yeah, I'm a social adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, I'm gathering that.
Yeah.
I can see it because I'm also this way where I'm like, what sort of insane thing can we do that can't be done?
Have you done mousetraps yet? Mm-hmm. Not like a drug, but the game Mousetraps.
I've done the board game.
Okay. Oh, hey, that's close. That's real close.
I wanted to do it at the Do As a Lot.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's an oldie but a goodie. It's a classic. I think it's a Johnstone format. But Colin Mockery used to travel with this, and it was his closer. But I did it with an old improviser.
No, I was going to look it up after.
Yeah, it's an old format, and what you do is you set the stage with live mousetraps, and then you do an improv scene barefoot, blindfolded. So fun.
That is... I don't deal well with pain, so I probably wouldn't be able to do that.
It didn't hurt.
But I like... Maybe there's buckets of water everywhere. Something.
Yeah, buckets. Oh, Head in a Bucket.
Yeah.
Love that
I've
game
heard of
too.
Head in a Bucket.
Oh,
Yeah, I also like that shit. Like
Yeah.
one of my favorite short form games is Replay at Bernie's. It's like
I don't know this one.
okay,
No.
Replay
Yeah.
at Bernie's is you got your 3 improvisers because it's a short form game. You do a 90-minute maximum. I really think 60 is better. 60-second scene.
Yep.
Can you see
I like to do a Head in a Bucket, but a 60-minute where everyone has to have Head in a Bucket for an hour.
It's really popular in graveyards.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you have your 3 improvisers. They do a 60-second scene. And then you have them stand in a line and the audience votes on one of them to die. At which point that improviser plays dead. And then the other 2 have to do the same scene again, but holding their body up and gesturing with their hands and arms and doing all of their lines. And then you do it again and you eliminate another improviser. And then the remaining improviser is carrying 2 bodies worth of people and running them around. And this is not a game for the faint of heart because, as it turns out, carrying between like 100 and 300 pounds of human around a stage, even if they are not being dead weight, is really hard. And you're also like yelling and out of breath and trying to remember everyone's lines.
Yeah.
And I love that because it's just chaos and memory and it's beautiful. And a lot of people don't want to play it because they don't want to be touched. Like, I get it. You don't want someone dragging you around. I played that game once where somebody held onto me and my shirt just went all the way off of my
no.
body. I was wearing a bra, so it was okay. But then it was like, he was just like pulling it back down onto my body as I'm still playing dead because I commit.
Commit.
Yeah.
That's
And it was rehearsal. Like there was there was an audience, but of our peers. And at the end, the director was like, the theater director's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes, it's a bra. It's gonna be fine." I thought it was hilarious, but that's not for everyone.
that's
I think
true,
some improv pushes boundaries that other people, like some people just don't want to handle, or like having an audience member touch them.
Yeah.
I totally get why you don't necessarily want strangers touching
Right.
you.
Yeah.
But I will let pretty much anybody touch me in an improv context.
Yeah. I love it. I have a new game to play.
Yeah. But to my question, is how do you separate your long form where you had said that let's make sure that it is tied to like the current zeitgeist? How do you make sure that you're not just doing fan fiction?
That's a great question. I think
And maybe the answer
It's-
is you
for
do,
some of
but
them
I'm
it is
starting
more,
to
and
hear
some of
that
it's
you're not.
less.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, for me, Hex in the City is like an alternate universe fanfic.
Yeah.
Because we have the same IP characters. Like,
Yeah.
this is Carrie Bradshaw behaving like Carrie Bradshaw, just in situations Carrie Bradshaw would never find herself in because Buff Santa doesn't visit in Sex in the City and there are no centaurs. But if there were, how would she react? And so that to me feels more like fanfic.
Yeah.
Actually Love has no real connection to the original source material other than the name. And the name is basically a gimmick to get people to come see it because they love Love Actually. And
Butts in
it's
seats, baby. Butts in seats.
butts and seats.
Yep.
And it's like, you want to just see a whole bunch of crazy shit happen before your eyes that you think will never, ever be able to tie together. Just kidding. Yeah, we totally can.
Yeah.
And there's no reference to the original characters. There's no reference to the types of characters even. The only thing I really try to push from the original of Love Actually is status play.
Yeah.
Because that's what creates a lot of the drama in that show is like, oh, it's your boss. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen to your boss? Or, oh, it's the maid. Or, oh, it's your secretary. Or it's somebody that you shouldn't be with in the first place. And so the status play, which makes a lot of people very uncomfortable, as
Yeah.
it turns out, that's something that I've tried to maintain from the original. And then a sense of the holidays, if possible, but not as much as the actual movie, because that's like set at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And this is more like, it's love because we're doing this on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm moving away from fanfic most of the time if I can.
Yeah.
But for Hex in the City specifically, that was like wouldn't it be fun if these characters lived in this universe? That
Yeah.
would be really fun for me. And let's do it.
Yeah.
And so then when you're creating these formats, what are the things that you are what are sort of the levers that you're pulling or the dials that you're creating for improvisers?
I build a lot of frameworks or like diagrams or things like that. Jeffrey also does, helps build me things around like, what are the archetypes? How do
Yeah.
these characters behave? What are situations we might find these people in that make sense within the context of this universe. And if you're working in a specific genre, like we're about to do Yes Andor, I'm looking at what are the character archetypes, because we have more character archetypes available to us than we have players, which is great. That means you're going to get to play a bunch of people. We might have a show that has a scoundrel with a heart of gold, like a Han Solo. There might be an episode that has no Han Solo character whatsoever, but it does have the, like, you know, Imperial assassin guy who chases around the main characters the whole time, just like in Firefly. So we're looking at, like, what are the archetypes of these characters, but also what are the themes that we might want to hit for this show. Somewhere in my microsite, I have a list of these things, but for Yes Andor, it's specifically things like the individual versus the collective. And if you're doing sci-fi or fantasy and not thinking about that, even if it's not directly appearing on stage as the main plot point, probably you're doing something wrong, because this is key to all sci-fi and fantasy, is the good guys are individuals and the bad guys are a group. That is almost always how they work. Lord of the Rings has a bunch of orcs. Star Wars has stormtroopers. Everybody's got the big conglomerate of people who look like the big bad guy. So there's things like that where you can just explain to people, this is probably going on in this universe. Even if we don't mention it, even if we only play little pieces of it, this will be very helpful. So I'm pulling kind of all of those themes together to help people better understand what kind of story are we telling, mostly to avoid doing a morality play. Because I think a lot of improv can turn into, oh, I'm a guy and I maybe did something not so good, but it's okay. I'm going to learn how to be a better person. And then by the end, everybody loves me. It's like, that is not exciting. I would like to see also other stuff. So I think thinking about theme is going to be really helpful for that.
I did an improvised Jane Austen show a number of years ago with Book It Theater.
Side note, you need to see Ostentatious if you go to London.
Okay.
Holy shit. The best improv I've ever seen. By a lot, actually. Holy shit. It's improvised Jane Austen. It's so good. They start the whole thing where they're like, we have a Jane Austen expert. And I was like, neato. Cool they were able to do that, because this is in the freaking West End in London.
Sure,
so I was like, I bet they do.
I'm sure they do.
This guy walks out and I'm like, he's dressed a little bit funny for the, all right, whatever. And then
this guy's
he
got
starts
cargo
just
shorts.
saying, yeah, exactly. It was like, he looks kind of like, he looks a little improv-y is what I was reading from this person. And he starts being like, Jane Austen drove a Ford Explorer. And I'm like, okay, and it's an improv guy. And so we started doing this whole, like, fake monologue about Jane Austen's life, and, like, so very clearly, like, weird modern shit. It just made no sense, but it was hilarious, and it's clearly all improvised. And then he's asking for people for names of fake Jane Austen novels. It was the best improv show I've ever seen. It was so freaking good. So yeah, if you're in London and you like Jane Austen, Ostentatious.
Okay. I think they've been putting out, or at least at some point in time, they were putting out a bunch of the vines on the YouTube and the Instagram.
Makes sense to me. It was very
Vine-worthy.
Oh yeah, I mean they just had some bits that were so fucking funny. Oh my god. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no.
But it was just absolutely blew my mind how good it was.
And so when we were doing Austen Unbound, one of the things that we really, really talked about were what were locations that...
I'm so sorry. Why are you laughing?
The first time he talked about Austen Unbound, he was talking with another guest. They were going for like 10 minutes. And I thought they were talking about like a show that they'd done in Texas. Because they never gave any context. They were just like, oh yeah, Austen Unbound. It was amazing. I'm like, man, I got to get down to... I gotta get out to the big star state and go see some improv. Apparently it's great down there.
I'm glad I interrupted you a second time for this. This was worth it. That's so funny.
That's all.
Context is so important.
So important.
Truly.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so I can't not laugh.
I love that you let them go for it too. That's so respectful. Whereas I'm like, shut up. I just met you. Let me ask this guy why he's laughing.
Yeah, no, go for it. So I can't help but laugh every time you talk about it. Yeah, go.
It was funny.
And so in Austen, not the city, Unbound, we talked a lot about what are the types of characters that would be in a Jane Austen novel.
Yep.
What are the locations that you would find yourself in a Jane Austen novel? What are the situations? And then some of the frameworks we talked about were like, what are games that you would play? And the games were not like a short form game.
No, of course not.
The games were like there's someone out the window.
Yes.
I'll give you three guesses as to whom it might be.
Yes.
Right? And like that would be, it'd be like, what a fun game. Could it be, is it a courier? No, it's not a courier, and I won't count that as a guess. Okay, very good, because...
it's a terrible guess.
That was a terrible guess. Okay. Very good. Right, and like we just like play that, and it was like they were so simple. Like,
that's so
well,
good.
I'm thinking of something, and it starts with a B. I'll give you two guesses as to what it could be. Right, like
that's so precious.
Yeah, and so during that, like during the rehearsal process and the show, I just had an audiobook of Jane Austen, and that was the only thing I would listen to.
That's smart.
And then,
especially for cadence and tone and stuff like that.
Yeah, truly. And then warm-ups before shows and before rehearsals, it was just like 5 names of someone in a Jane Austen movie.
Yep.
Great. Let's do like, in a location, someone names a location in Jane Austen. What are all the objects that could be in that location?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do this because everything I do has genre to it, or at least so far it has done. I pretty much start all rehearsals with genre ball. I'm like, okay, names. Real names, people. Don't say Zingbat. Zingbat that doesn't count. Like, come on, give me a real name. Do this quickly. Like, we're going to throw names around. Great, balls back to me. Now we're doing locations in New York City. If it's Sex and the City, what are places in New York City so that we're not all set in somebody's fucking apartment? Because so many improv scenes get set in somebody's house because they don't set it in a public location because they haven't thought of a public location.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, hard for people to come into this scene when it's set in your bathroom. What if you set it at the train station or under a bridge or in the library or in a bell tower, like anywhere in public? And so getting people to think of that, and also jobs. That was the other thing where it's like, if we're in the universe of Sex and the City, you're probably not a barista. You're probably a hedge fund manager. And that might not be the person that you admire in real life, but that is who these types of women would have been dating in this universe. If you're a lawyer, you're a high-powered attorney. You're not a down on his luck lawyer. No, you're like a cool lawyer, because that's the kind of people who would be in this universe. And getting people to adjust their mindset of not just any job, but like, oh, it's a sexy job. What's a job that Carrie Bradshaw would fall in love with? Or if it's or it's going to be, well, what kind of job would someone have on a spaceship? And you can stray a bit from, mechanic or pilot, but it's probably not landscape artist. That seems unlikely. But barista, maybe. Space barista? I'm curious to know about space barista.
Space barista.
Right? If someone says coffee and we have a ship full of coffee, you got a ship full of baristas, I want to see how they handle that.
There's the barber on DS9 who was secretly a spy, so...
That's true. Yeah.
I was not allowed to watch DS9.
I actually haven't seen many episodes. I just happened to be reading about it the other day.
My mother hates it, so she did not put it on in our home. We were The Next Generation and Voyager family.
Okay. All right, but you...
Admittedly, that was a wild departure from what I thought it was going to be. The amount of times I've heard people be like, yeah, my mom, we grew up in a religious household. No, it's just... DS9, no. The religion of our family is Star Trek. That was the Apocrypha. We were forbidden to read the ancient texts.
Only the 80s and 90s, thank you.
Yeah, my mom is very into sci-fi. Alien is probably one of her favorite movies. I think she's seen BSG 12 times through, at least. Yeah. And she went to see Star Wars Episode 4 in the theater, I want to say 8 or 9 times. And
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
She's just... My dad also loves sci-fi, but my mom is fucking insane about it.
Yeah.
And so that was... we grew up with a lot of sci-fi, so it's not surprising to me that I'm like... I feel ready to do a sci-fi show now because it's hard. Sci-fi is a really hard genre. Fantasy is also really hard for the same reasons. It's too broad. And so you have to condense it. And I think a lot of people don't want to, or directors or show creators or whoever's in charge of stuff, right? They don't necessarily want to close opportunities to their improvisers. So it's like, well, there could be droids in this universe. We wouldn't want to tell people there can't be. But also... we have to create some guardrails so that we can work on the same thread together. And realistically, that's easier if you have a little bit of guardrails around the universe, because it's otherwise perfectly infinite.
Well, and it's different than a genre like not that you would do tragedy, but you could do like American Gothic.
Yeah.
Or you could do like even horror. As many genres as horror has, what that invokes is a feeling. And sci-fi does not invoke a feeling. That's not the design of sci-fi, to invoke a specific feeling, where horror is meant to scare or create dread. And you get to decide what, in what direction you want to go in that. And same with fantasy. Fantasy is not invoking a specific feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you took Belinda Fu's show, Journey of the Wind, that was a Studio Ghibli show, then of course that is going to evoke a certain feeling, but it's within a very specific context.
It has more of a tone.
It has a tone.
If you didn't follow the tone, it would feel asynchronous with the source material.
Yeah, right. And but sci-fi, it's like, no, you have to narrow it down for a specific reason. And even if you watch like Blood Squad, who does wonderful horror shows, even they specify down to, no, we want to do this specific genre and styling of horror.
And then you get to explore it more as well, because if you decide we're doing horror, it's a werewolf movie, great. How can we do werewolf different than any other werewolf thing that I have seen?
Yeah.
Versus this is a body snatcher thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's fun about improvisers is they can come up with a lot of stuff and develop beautiful things. But one of the hard things about improvisers is sometimes they don't focus.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, if somebody has a good idea and you hear their good idea, please add to their idea instead of creating a new idea. It's better to build. And in genre stuff, I think it makes it even harder, because you don't necessarily, if they're like, oh, they set up a droid, well, we don't know how the droid works. Well, you can establish that. That's fine.
Yeah.
They don't own the concept of the droids.
Yeah.
They just introduced them conceptually, and you can build on top of it. But I think there's fear of ownership issues of like, well, or like putting someone's character in a position that's uncomfortable for the character. I don't know why people don't like doing that, but that's something I taught a lot of in Actually Love, is how do you create what I tend to call a wedge? How can you make their life harder?
Yeah.
Ideally by making it better. Like, oh, I'm going to give you an amazing job offer that pulls you away from your wonderful husband.
Yeah.
How are you going to deal with this? Oh no, impish grin, and then off I walk.
Yeah.
Like, that's delightful, but a lot of people, I think, are afraid to make other characters uncomfortable, but you have to do that to create drama and story.
How do you go about working with improvisers and teaching that concept of, and from what I'm hearing from you is this distinction of the improviser and their offers, right? I give you an offer, and then what is that framework that you give an improviser to say, like, yes, you may be putting this character in a certain situation, but where is that boundary between the improviser and the character? How do you establish that? Do I need to phrase that in a different way?
No, I know what you mean exactly.
Okay.
No, it's just, that's a hard thing, right? That's what that is building trust. You have to help people in the cast trust each other so that they don't even have to think about that. And in fact, it becomes the opposite, where especially the people that I've worked with a bunch now, like Jeffrey or Phil, Jeffrey is especially good at this. He knows what I like in terms of improv. And so he knows what offers to give me that I will like succeed with, that I'll have fun with, that will bring joy to the audience. So like, he knows I love doing accents. I love playing characters pretending to be other characters. I love all that shit. So if he walks out and is like, your secret mission, blah, 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 I'm like, great, now I'm a spy. Incredible.
Yeah.
I also have whatever else I had before, but now I'm also a spy. This is amazing, because I trust him that the offer he's giving me is amazing, to the point that almost any offer he gives me, even if it doesn't seem like an offer, turns out it's actually an offer. In one of the Actually Love shows we did this past time, there is clearly some fancy restaurant named something like Anthony's, maybe in Candlestick, or anyway, there's like a fancy restaurant named Anthony's somewhere in Seattle. And so at some point in the show, he was like, hey, Tony, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, my name's Tony. That's kind of funny, because we had a rehearsal where I named myself Tony, because that's my standard guy name I give myself when I'm being like a little bro-y, cute guy. And then later in the show, it becomes apparent that it's somehow my restaurant, or like, oh, well, because your name is Tony. Anthony. I was like,
Yep.
oh my God. So that the show I was like, Jeffrey, did you do that on purpose? Is that why you named me Tony? He's like, of course it is. Yeah, because you're a good improviser. This is why. So even coming down to things like people's names, tiny little details, they become offers if you trust the person. And that's what I really want to foster is this environment of trust. And that can be really hard to do when you do not have the right people, and really, really fun to do when you do have the right people.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the feeling like you can't do it, what's that called? The imposter syndrome. Yeah. That's why I think the imposter syndrome becomes problematic, because if you're a new person entering a group of a whole bunch of people who trust each other and know each other, and you come in with the assumption that somehow you're not equal to them because you don't have the shared history, friendship, jokes, whatever it is, you're doing everyone, including yourself, a disservice. Whereas if you come in and you're like, hello, new best friends. Wow, what a great feeling for everybody involved. But you have to be confident enough in yourself that you can go up and be like, hello, my new best friends. And a lot of people are not used to doing that, because where do we practice that? There's no place to practice that except improv.
Truly.
Just especially walk up and hug people and be like, we're best friends now. Do you want to be in love with me in this scene? Great. Now we're in love. That was 5 minutes.
That was that was an adjustment that I had to make, going from being like a theater kid and a young actor who was just very used to cuddle puddles. And like, I just like the amount of pictures of me on a bus or in a green room, just sprawled out amongst many people,
laying on a couch, but I'm not on the couch. I'm only on people's laps.
I
have a lot of photos of that.
Right. And then realizing like, oh, in the adult world, it's different. And people think that's boundary crossing. Oh,
it's tricky because it's like a semi-professional space. The more you do it, the more
it becomes professional. And when you become a teacher, suddenly it's more professional.
And
or a director,
teacher, anytime where you are in a position of power over the other people for whatever reason it is, even if it's just as simple as I can kick you out. For literally any reason, I could simply choose to do this, and we all know that. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but we all know that that is theoretically possible. You do have to create a little bit of a separation, and that can be tricky when you're working with like your best friends. And so I'm aware that like Jeffrey and I are very close, or Phil and I are very close. And so if I want to have that level of closeness with them, it probably has to happen after rehearsal, where I'm not directly in charge and it's like, oh, we're just all eating tacos and I can be more casual. Or it has to happen outside of the rehearsal space entirely, because our friendship is separate from the show.
We were talking with D'Amica Parker the other day, and she was talking about how there are just certain things that, as artistic director of her company, like she's like, yeah, it's lonely up here.
Dude, it gets lonely. Because I run my own business. I have two subcontractors, so it's me and two of my former students. And
does that mean you're a DOM contractor?
Oh, I would definitely be, for sure.
Okay.
I teach design, and so they're my former. I taught them last autumn, and they taught their college class, and now they work for me.
Oh, fun. Then we'll edit that out. And probably not, but we can at least say that we'll edit that out. So I didn't say that.
I love it. I think they would be fine with it.
I
mean, they're Gen Z. They're so chill. I love them.
That's a wild generation.
I like them. They're funny. And they teach me new slang. And they do it by saying, I don't want to glaze you. And then in parentheses, that's Gen Z slang for saying you're doing a good job. Like, thank you. Cool.
Glazing,
yeah.
I've been a high school teacher for years, and this is the first time I feel like I've ever heard that.
It's like
outside the context of
relatively
a donut.
new. I only heard it last week.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's I was like, oh, you're just like, you're so amazing. You're such a great podcast host. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm so honored to be in this space with you. That would be me glazing you, because clearly what I'm saying is not genuine, but it is me saying nice things. That's what they mean by that. And so they want to make sure I understand when they say nice things to me that I don't think they're just, to borrow a phrase from my boyfriend, sucking my dick.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
So that's the elder millennial version of glazing. Perhaps even less work appropriate.
Hey, you know what? Who needs HR these days? Who needs HR?
I don't need it.
Yeah.
In the old days, we used to call it polishing the brass trophy. But that's in 1942, when I was a youngster.
Blowing smoke, right? Blowing smoke up someone's ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the 70s. It's past my time.
Past my time.
Brown nosing. That's another one.
Okay. Yeah. Sucking dick. Yeah. I use that a lot. Yeah.
I don't even remember how we got to this anymore.
I am really glad that you did specify that that by calling me a good podcast host, what you were actually saying.
It was the way. This is going right in the podcast. This is gonna be the fucking opener.
Yeah, we're actually gonna put this in the
Wow, you're so great.
Yeah.
Good job. Fake voice. I don't even know how we got onto this. I lost the plot a while back now.
Yeah. Who needs it? Who needs a plot?
That's the thing. I don't need a plot.
There we are.
I like just the talking and figuring this shit out.
We talked a lot about directing. Just talk about your part of the CSZ ensemble.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk to me about performing with CSZ.
We're on the same mind, Paul.
Yeah, because we have a lot of unexpected productions people on.
Yeah.
We've had some indie improvisers. I think you're the second CSZ person because we only talked to Ben.
Perfect.
We'd love to hear about it.
So I've been there for about 3 years now, I think.
Okay.
I think it's got a great amount of variety, which is really, really nice for a theater because especially if you look at other CSC theaters like around the country, they mostly just do comedy sports. There's also BATS, Bay Area Theater Sports, or just theater sports. They do the short form, they do the games. There are a lot of places that just focus on short form. There are places that do more long form, but then they maybe don't do short form. It's nice that I get to do comedy sports where I can just run on, goof for 3 minutes. Maybe it's the worst thing I've ever done. Maybe it's something I will remember forever, nobody else will. Or maybe it's the thing that someone will repeat like 10 years on their deathbed. Who knows? That's fun. I like that. I also like that I get to pitch my own shows, come up with ideas. And we have all of these other like more Armando-y formats. There's other people doing more long form shows. There's just so much variety happening and it's so active and there's so many different improvisers. It feels like you can find the right people to work with to build the right thing that you want to build. I'm definitely more of a long form person.
Sure.
So I would like to see more narrative long form. But I'm also aware that teaching that to other improvisers and doing a good job with it is very difficult.
Yeah.
And I am not necessarily going to be the easiest person to manage on a cast. Like, I'm aware I have a relatively enormous personality, and so I'm also aware that I'll be very opinionated, and some shows some directors may be a better fit or not for me, depending on if I think that they can handle me.
Yeah.
In the same way that I think Jeffrey and Phil are both good examples of this. They are exceptional improvisers, some of the best I've ever seen. They giggle and laugh and are distracting, and I sometimes have to be like, I swear to God, you have to focus. Yeah. You have to. Yeah. You have to corral them. But it's worth it because they're having a good time. Yeah. And then when you tell them to focus, they shut up, they focus, they listen. When they're on stage, they're absolutely listening. Some of the best improvisers require more management because they are enjoying themselves and doing good work versus someone who's very quiet and just listening and is nervous. And it's like that might look better on the outside, but actually sometimes the big personalities, even if you have to manage them, they're going to make better stuff. And so as the director, you have to be able to do that. And as an improviser, it might even be harder as an improviser to be able to work with people who are very talented and very loud. You have to be able to create space for yourself. You have to trust they will make space for you. And I think a lot of people are mistrustful of other improvisers. You see it a lot in auditions or classes where people like want to have their turn in the spotlight. I used to do this where I was like, if I'm in an audition, I need to make sure I'm the center of the scene so that they see how good I am. And I was like, that is the opposite of what I should have been doing.
Yep.
Dang it.
Yep. Yeah. I've been in those auditions where I'm like, you want to do your thing, buddy. All right, I'm just going to let you do your thing here.
Sometimes, especially if I'm the director and I'm watching it, I will notice like this person is making it so I can't, their scene partners are invisible to me now because what they're doing is so something bad that I know that the person in the scene with them is literally just doing their best. That's all that I can hope for them. Yeah. And so I will try to, if I pair them up with another person, put them with somebody who is less of a wild card. Because a lot of the time this is happening because I'm like, oh, you're new to me and I didn't know you were going to do that. You are quite the auditioner. Right. But most people in an audition are chill and good and you can put them together and it works out fine. So I'll just usually accommodate by putting, if somebody I thought had a scene where they didn't get a chance to shine, I will put them with somebody else that I think will give them a good opportunity. Yeah. the weird thing is when you put somebody with someone who's really good, and then the person you don't know how good they are doesn't respond to the good improv they're being given. Like, wow, how did this happen to you? Like, you're getting such good stuff and you are being so negative and saying no so much. Are you not used to like people doing good improv with you?
Yeah.
But I think some people are not. And you see that more in auditions because you see people from every theater, every experience, every background.
Yeah. There is a there's something that I notice in improvisers where if you have a tendency to I'm just gonna say it. If you're a really controlling improviser, younger improvisers fucking love that. Newer improvisers love a controlling improviser because you show up with all the ideas and you show up with the structure and they just get to follow along. And you get rewarded for that. And when someone else shows up who is willing to show up with their own ideas and their own bigness and boldness, and even if they're a far more experienced improviser and they're willing to leave space, when you don't just follow along, that improviser could get really, really threatened. And newer improvisers will oftentimes, under threat, will start to really, really know and deny and block in that way. And that is such a difficult thing to deal with. I remember Chris Last referring to it as yes improvisers and improvisers.
Oh, I like that.
And he said that yes improvisers are the people who and this is a wild oversimplification, but he would say that yes, improvisers are the improvisers who show up without an idea and just follow and just say, yeah, that's a great idea, and don't build on it. And improvisers are people who don't agree with what you're saying. They already have their own idea that they're going with, and you better follow along. And even if you say something, they're like, yeah, right, but we're also doing this thing. Remember the thing I said? And the task is to bring both of them together to learn from each other to be able to then be yes and improvisers. And I want to reiterate an oversimplification on that because so many improvisers do really well at both, but when we're first learning, we're favoring one side or the other. It's not so black and white.
I'm I'm like, I have a thing. It's genius. We got to do it. In 7 scenes, this is gonna totally pay off. Like, I know that if I lean towards one, that's the one I absolutely lean toward. Which,
thank God, because Seattle is filled with yes improvisers.
It's a lot of yes. That was a problem for me when I started directing and I didn't realize what the problem was exactly, but I was like, why are all of my ideas being generated by the same people?
Yeah.
They're not bad ideas. They're great ideas, but they're coming from one part of the group. And it's not because we're not making space for the other folks. It's because I don't think, have the muscle memory of coming up with big ideas or just trying a thing and being okay with failure, which is funny because we should all be like very excited about failure.
Yeah. It's an art form about failure.
Yeah. You were asking about CSC. My audition for CSC, this reminded me of it because the first scene I did, we might have actually been the first scene of the audition, too. That's what my brain is starting to tell me. Was with an improviser named Joel David. He now is no longer part of CSC Seattle, but still sometimes interacts with CSC. He's a lovely guy. He ended up getting cast as well. We go up to do the scene. I think our suggestion is something like mom and pop. So I'm like, great, bakery. Bakery is great. Establish a little bakery. And then he comes on and he says something like, here are the scones or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you made those yourself. Wow. And he's like, no, I bought them. I was like, okay, this is my opportunity here to help him and to help me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, but they look handmade. I mean, you made such a great choice. And I could feel Rick Steadman be like, like approval face. So I was like, yep, I know that Joel knows what he just did. I know that he regrets it. Yeah. And I am going to just take the thing that he's done and turn it into a great scene. Yeah. And then it turned into this, like, we're married, we're running the bakery. Cute. It was like a very cute little scene. Yeah. And it just stuck with me so much because it was one of the first times I remember really analyzing what was happening as it was happening. Yeah. Because I knew that I'm only going to get like 2 or 3 scenes and I'd really like to get cast. Yeah. And so the best thing I can do here is show what a good player I will be to somebody when they do something that they wish they hadn't.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be like, pointing at the guy who did the wrong thing. It's like, nope. Joel said no. We're going to turn that no into a, okie dokie, this is the scene now. And we just continued, and it was fine.
It's such a critical thing, like going into it with the mindset of, I need to make my scene partner look good. Like, here's my brick, and then the rest of my, you either pick up on it or you don't. And then the rest of my effort is, how do I make you look amazing? And that's it. You're another got into the troupe on the first try person.
I felt lucky getting in that I have no experience with CSE or comedy sports. I've done BATS 201 or whatever. Like, I've done one actual improv class that was not in a high school or middle school context. I've just done a lot of improv in theater, and I'd been doing stuff at the theater before I joined the cast. And I think that's something CSE still does a really good job of, is offering opportunities to the community to participate, even if you're not on the cast. So I did Boom Bap for a little bit. I did, like, I think I was a monologist for Full Disclosure. I was on the panel for Dubious Advice. I just kept finding opportunities to be involved. And also I went to see a lot of shows. I would just be like, hey, Mark, you using your comp? Are you in the show tonight? Can I come?
Right.
Hey, Erica, you using your comp? Just like, if someone's not using their comp, can I have your comp? And if you are, great, I'll just pay. It's fine. And so I got to get involved before that happened. So I already kind of knew some people. And then I did feel like I have a lot of experience. It's just not in comedy sports. And I feel really lucky that Rick was able to see my skill beyond whether I've done these specific games, because most of my experience now is actually musical, improv, or long form narrative, which is not mostly what they're casting for.
Sure.
Got another first timer here.
Yeah, I got on UP on my first audition.
That sounds right.
It was a miracle.
You read books. This is, I can tell. Partially because you said it, but also you have the aura of a person who has read books and maybe even made notes or put stickies in them. Like, you have processed books.
Yes. I have an essay that I'm working on right now on improv that. Yeah, so.
Doing that kind of work, I think, actually really matters. Like, thinking about the improv and talking about the improv, and not just talking about how you're feeling about it or the other people, but actually thinking about the mechanics of how to become better at it, and it sounds kind of mean, but like, what are other people doing wrong so that I can not do that is really helpful. And having trusted friends that you can talk to about the art form is super helpful. And I think I'm going to assume that a lot of people end up boiling improv down to like the individual games or mechanics or the drama or the people. And a lot of the time it's more about, how do we build this, and how does the art form function, and how do I make this enjoyable for people rather than the drama of it, which can sometimes infiltrate.
I bring up the first time thing not to glaze you. Call back.
See? You understand. He gets it.
That's right. Yeah.
Even at my advanced age, I understand these.
Paul's been sucking my dick. Sorry, I'm still a millennial.
We're not supposed to talk about that. I bring this up because she wouldn't be surprised. At this point, she'd just be like, "Yeah, I saw that coming."
Is this your wife? Your
fiance.
Your fiance. That's right. Yes. Maybe your future wife, but maybe not, depending on how this episode goes.
We're locked in.
That's fine. I suck his dick too.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's Seattle.
I'll suck Marie's dick. That's all right. Yeah.
Have you seen MacGruber? Have you guys seen the MacGruber movie?
I've seen parts.
Okay, well, you should both watch all of it, and it's dumb. Like, it's a dumb movie. But actually, it's a phenomenal movie. Like, it's especially for improv, because they do a fantastic job of straight man versus MacGruber. Will Forte is genius at this. I mean, they're able to take things like this guy saying, "I will suck your dick. I will fuck any object in the room. Please, just give me another chance." And he's like doing the "just give me another chance" speech, but he's saying some absolute bullshit that sounds ludicrous. And the, general or the head of the Pentagon or whatever is treating it like he's saying completely normal words. And it's a fascinating study of the way that you treat the things that people say. And in improv, a lot of the time, I think we make things too fantastical when we could treat them as normal and then make a way weirder world instead of a weird character. That movie is so good for this very specific thing, and also it's very stupid and fun.
Yeah.
So
Truly, I
highly
mean,
Add it
recommend.
to my list.
That right there is the heart of Yes and is this idea of we so often want to point out the character of dissent or the character the comedic role as someone who is other, someone who is outside, because we feel so much more confident being an audience point of view character, and yet there is something so delightful of realizing that action of saying, how weird is this person? That's a block.
Yeah, every play only needs one of those.
Yes.
Like everyone else can be zany, but only one person can have that role. Otherwise, if it's an entire show or even scene of straight people, of grounds, whatever term you want to use for the not funny person, it's like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
But the reason I was mentioning
I cut you off mostly to promote the MacGruber movie. This episode is sponsored by MacGruber.
Actually, it is. Yeah.
Will Forte actually is paying for this episode.
Yeah.
He's my best friend.
I bring up the getting in on the first time thing. A lot of our listeners are students who are trying to get into a more established troupe, and I bring it up because I think
Vietnamese improvisers.
Or we have to get to Vietnam. We love you in Vietnam.
Our second highest country listeners are Vietnamese is in Vietnam.
That is wild only because in my mind I was like, this is for Seattle improvisers. So if I want to talk about like my friends Jeffrey and Phil, people might have some idea or could look it up, but no, those.
You mentioned their full names and they're on the internet, so we found
that's why I
people
say
could
their whole name to start, because then you can look it up.
Yeah, it's probably mostly Seattle. We have a lot of U.S., but then our second highest population is in Vietnam.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. Some in London, some around.
I keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay. I can handle it. You know? The offers just keep coming, and I just keep rolling with them.
He's just so chill. He just lets me do it.
It's all
like
good.
I'm a guest or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
A guest in
I can
his
edit
house.
this down, however.
You make it sound like I didn't cut you off like 5 times.
Welcome to the show, and goodbye. There's so many people who are trying to audition for some troupe, and I think the story where I'm trying to convey with all the people I ask about auditions or what have you is, if you're auditioning and you're trying to be funny, you're focusing on the wrong thing.
100%.
There's so many other things to focus on, like
Emotions.
trust and your scene partner and emotions and how are you collaborating and are you listening and are you blocking versus really yes-anding. And are you creating something that's interesting and compelling? And is there a narrative? And are you finding a game? Like there's all these things, and it's not just like, I hope with the 4 scenes I get, I am as funny as possible.
Yeah.
Because I think that actually has the opposite effect.
Mm-hmm.
I think that generally, like people, not improvisers, but like everybody thinks, improv is for funny people. If you do improv, you're funny, or improv will make you funny. Like it is inextricably tied with being funny.
Yeah.
And I do not think of myself as a funny improviser. My goal is not to make people laugh with what I'm saying a lot of the time. My goal is to make them feel a big feeling. And sometimes it's funny, but a lot of the time I'm an improviser who gets the laughs on the thing that I just said matter-of-factly, that I'm like, oh, that's funny, is it? Great. I'll play with that little matter-of-fact thing that I said, versus telling jokes or playing joke characters. Because, man, it's fun to be the joke guy. Sucks for everyone else, though, because all they're then doing is propping you up to make you funny. Whereas if you're living your character, then the fact that you're willing to do that and stand on stage and be an embarrassing goofball, that's already funny.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to try that hard unless you're doing a pun game.
Yeah.
And even then, you can say the dumbest things imaginable that are not really puns, and it can still get a laugh if you deliver it with confidence.
The shows that I remember are not the shows that made me laugh. It's the shows that made me cry.
If improv can make you cry, that is some very good improv.
You need to go down to Deep End Theater and go see Domika Parker down in Portland, and you will watch improv that will make her cry.
I'm going to Portland in a month of time. No, that implies a month from now. During a month of the year 2026, I'll be going. I've forgotten which one.
Yeah. There's 12, so
there's only so many remaining.
There's only so many. Yeah. There's
But
only a few left.
I can go to that.
Yeah.
I'll be going down there.
I would highly recommend it. And I mean, Brody and Curious Comedy are all great companies as well. Deep End is the one that made me cry.
Sweet.
And just like genuinely, just like, and it wasn't like, I wasn't like heartbroken. It was just tears of, the last show that I saw, the last show that I saw was just about a family vacation. And we realized that the dad had dementia. And it was a discovery. It was just this moment of discovery that naturally showed up in the show. And then by the very end of it, they all step out. And throughout the show, the characters did little personal monologues. And then by the end of it, they did this little monologue bank. And then the dad steps out and goes, and you know what? I think the family's going to do just fine without me. And like, it was heartbreaking just hearing everyone just grappling what it is to have a parent pass on stage. And it was, like I turned to my partner and I was like, that was intense. She goes, yeah, you're crying too. And I go, yeah, absolutely. And I turned to my brother and I was like, so we probably need to have a conversation with the family about grandpa, don't we? Like, I mean, it was just like, it was so personal and yet so universal in that. And then I remember years ago, I went to go see another show at Deep End, and Jason Geary from over in Australia. Where is he from? Oh, I don't remember now. But he had come in and he brought his format called Zoom, not the video chat. Yeah. Before the video chat came about, he had created a format called Zoom, and it was the first show in a long time where I got a drink, took my first sip of it, put it down, and then my second sip, the show was over. I was just like captivated by this show. And it was just D'Amica and Jason, just the two of them on stage, just riffing, and a jazz drummer.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I think one of the best improv shows I ever saw, aside from Ostentatious, which incredible, was watching Zach and Jess do Off Book, and they played a boy band. One of the members was a mouse.
Yeah.
There's two of them somehow being like 6 boy band members, as well as all the other characters, and then they have the accompanist. And I didn't know who they were or what Off Book was. So much so that even now as I'm saying it, I'm like, God, I hope that's the right name. I know it must be, but I really didn't know their stuff, and Jeffrey brought me to see it. And it wasn't like, this is the funniest slapping the knee improv I've ever seen. It was just magical. I felt like I was watching a universe unfurl before my eyes, and all of these characters were experiencing things that I felt like I'd gone through, even though they're a boy band with a mouse. And it's very fantastical and silly, but man, it just hits so hard because the kinds of things that they're talking about are so universal. But again, not a morality play, not trying to say that who's better or what kind of behavior you need to do. Just, this is something that happened to someone and it could happen to you maybe, or maybe it has happened to you. It's just this like shared human experience.
It's just honest. Yeah.
I think it can be hard for people to reach into that like point of like that depth of the hardest shit and to pull it out and put it on stage. I remember this would have been like one of my really early CSC rehearsals. I think we were doing a scene and I want to say the suggestion was prom. And I was like, I can either choose to draw from my experience or not. And I'm going to draw from my experience. So I started the scene with going up to the other improviser and being like, Bobby also said no. So that makes 12. And the thing is, that is what happened to me in high school. I asked 12 different boys to prom, including some juniors who were not going to go otherwise. One guy said, I might go camping with my parents that weekend. I was like, so, and I was willing to pay for his, like, this was a all expenses paid type of a situation. And so I was like, this is a terrible thing to me when I was 18. That was a terrible thing that happened. And it was embarrassing too. And I would want to talk about it for years because that's so embarrassing. 11 guys and no one will say, like, some of them, like, were not like exciting specimens. But then I was like, I have this opportunity to explore this on stage, and this other person is playing more like a parental figure, and I have wonderful parents, so luckily there's no issue with that. For me, it was just this feeling of rejection, but getting to explore that on stage.
Yeah.
And it was not a happy scene. It was painful to watch, I think, for the people watching it, because it's like, why would you make that choice that 12 people, that seems like so many. It's like, no, that's the real number. And then at the end, I told folks, I was like, this is based on reality. Oh my God, I don't know. I did this, but I have to tell you it's real. Otherwise it makes me feel crazy inside that you don't know this.
Yeah.
And that for me opened a gate where I was like, oh, I can take the most embarrassing, shameful shit, put it on stage. It removes a bunch of the shame for me because I can't feel shameful if I'm telling people about it, because it removes the shame, and then I'm in control of how I feel about it instead. There are not very many art forms that let you do that just off the cuff.
Yeah.
What a gift. What a gift for the audience, because I'm sure you're not the only person in the world to have that experience.
Oh, I am certain.
And
Some of us,
everyone
our
else
dad got us
stopped
a
at 10.
corsage.
Yeah.
but only Bonnie Kate.
I was like,
At 12.
Cole will say yes. Cole and I did an extracurricular together, and he's a year younger than me. Cole did not say yes.
Sorry.
I just kept going, and I was like, at this point, I should start keeping track. It's so many, and the fact that I'm still asking them is crazy. But I just keep going, and then it got to prom, and everyone has a date except for. Fuck it, I'll just say it. Except for me and Andrew Gawowski. His name is the perfect name sounding for this. Andrew Gawowski and I did not have dates, and we both thought the other person was not someone we would want to go with. And I think we both made the right decision there. Like, I would rather go alone than go with somebody I do not want to go with.
Yeah.
Wow.
So as we're starting to wrap on up, as you're looking at the Seattle and the Pacific Northwest and its improv, especially because you have context from, elsewhere on the West Coast, what is something that you would like to see grow in the next 5-10 years in our improv scene?
I would like to see more risk taking, especially by the larger theaters, because I think it's much easier for an indie troupe to be like, let's just try a crazy format and see what happens, or I'm gonna go to duos night and do a crazy thing and see what happens. It's still technically high risk, but they're not putting the money on the line really for it. And I would like to see some of the larger theaters take a chance on less scripted formats, on formats that are brand new. I will not be doing Actually Love again, I don't think, like ever probably. I might do like a one-off night or something, but I'm not going to run it again in February because I think its time has passed. We had strong turnouts for the first 3 years, but it's done. I think we need new things. That's why I created Hex in the City. And then people were saying, well, can we do it again? Like cast members, can we do it again? I was like, no. People from the audience or, friends saying, are you going to do it again? I was like, no, because I already done it. I know what it's like. I don't need to recreate it again. I would like to do new stuff. And so that's what I'm hoping that all of these theaters will start doing, is more turnover of their shows. Like, I know that you like doing this show, you have warm, fuzzy feelings about it, but is it pulling the audience? Like, are you getting enough butts in seats? Or could you take a risk on a new show that you don't know if it'll work? I would like to see that. And I would also like to see separately more people playing unlikable characters, especially women, especially playing female characters. I love that you're laughing. I don't exactly know why, but I'm glad what I'm saying is making you laugh.
I love playing unlikable characters.
I love playing villains. I love playing little freaky weirdos that are just kind of off-putting. It's really fun, and I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah.
I think it's just hard for people to embody that because they think it reflects on them or something.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to play a misogynistic character, I feel like I can do that partially because I'm a woman. Like I probably wouldn't play a racist character. That seems like not the place for me to do that. But like I can play a guy who's toxic and misogynistic as a commentary on that without it being that people think that that's what I believe it should be like. Or sometimes we'll talk about if we're going to have characters who are maybe they're coming out or they're introducing their partner to their parents and their parents are theoretically like more conservative, right? If we're going to play characters who have some homophobia inside of them, how can we do that in a way that is still respectful of the experience, but not just doing homophobia.
Yeah.
Like, how do you play these subtle characters where it's like the dad might not, I don't like this girlfriend of yours. And but it's not because, she's a girl. It's because I just don't like her.
Right.
Like, that's way more interesting to me, is like dealing with how does the parent who doesn't like your partner, not because of maybe say their gender, but because they don't like them. How do you deal with that when it's also combined with these other feelings? Like, there's so much to explore with characters who are imperfect or messy or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And not just wacky.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of that.
Yeah.
Tony Beeman often talks about, he goes, if you're going to play someone conservative, play them authentically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he goes, and they don't have to be a villain, but maybe they're the villain in that story, but don't play them as a villain.
Yeah.
They have their beliefs, and they have their beliefs for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important. And also, I think you're leaving a lot on the table if you've never done a show where the audience won't look you in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've played the villain in a long form, and and I get the, oh, thank you so much, great show, and they pass me by. Great show. You're right. And they just they're like, don't fucking like that guy, right? Because I played a villain, and I just decided I'm gonna play this villain authentic, and it's gonna be hurtful for some people, but the thing is that the lead gets to be the redeeming factor, and the audience goes, thank you so much for telling that story. That was amazing. It was so healing. Fuck that guy. Yes. And I gotta be that guy in that show. And hopefully, God willing, not in every show. I certainly hate to be the asshole in every single show. But every once in a while.
That's why I love doing it with Katie and Catherine. I've got a Shakespeare troupe on the side, and I love playing the villain. I love getting killed at the end, because it's setting them up to be the heroines. It's setting them up to be the saviors, or at least the tragic hero, because everyone around you has died, but you've at least foiled the plan.
Yeah.
And what a gift.
You also get to subvert expectations sometimes. Yeah. We did an episode of Hex in the City where Phil was playing the boogeyman. Mm-hmm. Not inherently a good character.
Yeah.
But he was also dating Miranda Hobbs, the lawyer from Sex and the City.
Boogeyman needs a good lawyer.
Hey, it could happen. And so it became this whole thing about he's like a monster, but also we did all this stuff with closets and clothes and exploring through her closet and how it impacts her. And it was like, whoa, there's a lot of theme from this monster. Like, this monster has all these themes that we can take and play with. And at the end of the show, I was like, so we were doing a pocket dimension episode, and the closet was it became a pocket dimension, and that's how we escaped out of the secondary pocket dimension. Like, I would never have written this. I could never have come up with this.
Yeah.
But because Phil was willing to play the boogeyman instead of some likable guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
amazing.
cool. And then I will forever remember Miranda dating the boogeyman way more than I'm going to remember the nice guys that were not memorable. I remember boogeyman Sex in the City.
Right. It's amazing.
Yeah. Bonnie K. Wolf, thank you so much for being on this episode of Cascade Improv. It has been such a pleasure to chat with you and to get to know you.
And before you go, the dates for your audition for Yes
that's right, yeah.
Yes, I have them. Okay, the auditions are June 27th from 4 to 6, June 28th from 12 to 2, and June 30th from 7 to 9.
And if people want to audition, they contact you or fill out a form via...
There will be a form that will go up on Facebook on the Western Washington Improv group. It will be posted on the CSC Seattle Instagram and in our newsletter. And if for some reason none of those things work, they are not up now because it's April. So give me some time.
When we record this.
It's May tomorrow, but it's April today. Yes. So those should be going up sometime, I would imagine, in June.
Yeah.
And my hope is to get, we had 60 for Actually Love Season 3. I would love to see 60 for the audition for this, because it's such a good experience to get to see that many other improvisers, and makes my ego enormous to see that many people want to work with me.
And that's what it's all about.
It's all about stroking my massive ego.
That's right. Yeah, we're all sucking Bonnie K. Wolf's dick right now. That's right. Yeah, just know.
Mike's going to kill me. He's going to be like, I can't believe you said that I say that. I'm like, it's such a good way of explaining it, though. Sorry, babe.
Yeah, it'll be part of your vows someday.
That's right. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning into this episode of Cascade Improv. If you or you know someone who you would like to be on the podcast, reach on out to Cascade Improv Podcast at gmail.com. If you've liked this episode or previous episodes, feel free to give us those 5 stars, those 10 thumbs, those 100 likes, whatever. I don't know how it works.
A double thumbs up emoji.
Yeah, that's right. Double thumbs up emoji. Yeah. Give us a good eggplant emoji, whatever it is.
Tell your friends.
Tell your family. Yeah. If you don't like it, then shut up. It's just your opinion. Yeah. No one really cares.
Thank you, Isaiah.
That's right.
If you would like to have us at your festival, if you'd like to have us come and visit, or there's someone you know who you'd like to be on this podcast, or you would like to be on this podcast, because you're a luminary improviser, please reach out to us. Also, if you'd like Chaz to teach a class, he is teaching a class now about improvising from birth. It is how to teach your unborn child the skills of yes and it's very affordable. It's a great class. I've taken it myself.
That's right.
Is this class available to cats?
It is, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Mostly?
Any unborn thing can take the class.
Good.
Which is not just a way to get pregnant mothers to take an improv class. It's also for pregnant fathers. I'm not here to judge.
Great point.
That's right.
And note, you're only paying for yourself, not for your unborn fetus.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, if you want to ensure that they have a long life in improv.
The lucrative career of improv.
The lucrative career of improv. That's right. I teach yes-anding the forceps. How you accept birth. Thanks for listening.
This is a very normal outro, I can tell.
See you next time.
I have to look back now. Ooh, yeah.
The Cascade Improv Podcast is produced by Paul Furio and Chaz Cascas. Musical backing is provided by Anomi Bell, whose music can be found online at anomibell.bandcamp.com.